Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call to order the the May 25th meeting of the Oklahoma City Economic Development Trust. The first item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes of the April 13th meeting. These minutes have been distributed to the trustees previously. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes that have been prepared and sent to you all?
At the top of page 2 shows me concurring with the motion. I actually was absent.
Okay. We'll make that correction.
With the correction, I'd move adoption.
Okay. Second. A motion made and second. All those cast your ballots. We have I forgot our electronic scoreboard up here. And the minutes are approved. Item number 3 is a ratification of some claims, and these were in our packet. They're all associated with the TIF 8 projects, which is the Project 180 and the downtown streetscape redevelopment issues. Are there any comments or questions about the claims?
Just on the cover sheet, it's for the period from May 5th, 2010 through May 4th, 2010?
Relatively short period.
Yes, and it goes backwards.
That's a good catch, and we'll get that corrected, and so that our files will be correct. Thank you very much. Are there any other questions or comments?
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, motion made and approved to ratify the claims. Please cast your votes. And it passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is some items for individual consideration. And the first item, we've changed our normal process just a little bit. We've moved this presentation to the beginning of our meeting in order to accommodate some schedules, some others. We're going to have a sort of an update status report on OrthoCare.
Mr. Chairman, we're pleased this afternoon to have Stuart Harshbarger, who's the Chief Science Officer with OrthoCare here to give us a bit of an update. Ready? All right. You can move that microphone. There we go.
Okay, yes. So I'm Stuart Harshbarger. I'm the Chief Science Officer for OrthoCare Innovations, one of the partners. I'm here with a couple of my colleagues, Jeff Wilson and Michael Harrison, and we appreciate the panel's interest and support for our activities to date, and happy to be able to give you an update on the progress we're making. So, please, I know I'm not sure exactly what your normal format is, but feel free to ask any questions that you might have, and I'll try to answer them the best I can, or at least find the answers for you. So there's been several, measurable kinds of improvements in our operations in Oklahoma City based on the funding that the panel has provided. A couple of those we want to really emphasize is the growth of our Oklahoma City corporate headquarters and our expansion in the research park to a new manufacturing facility that's allowed us to launch new manufacturing capabilities and to bring some product manufacturing capability here. Also enabled us to make some key strategic hires for the operations here and to push those new products into areas with new opportunities, since we have a great manufacturing capability that's really a showcase for the company and has been very positively received by our customers and our other business partners. And then also to reach out and expand our initial business relationships with academic institutions here in the state and other core business support organizations and of course the financial community. So we appreciate the ability to be able to do that. So as far as facilities go, we're in a new, since January of last year in July, we moved into a 14,000 square foot manufacturing facility where all of our kind of general and administrative activities and our product development occurs. It's a very strong engineering team where we've been able to recruit some really significant talent from some of the national organizations involved in defense engineering and other areas in medical product development to really strengthen our ability to continue to grow that activity. A lot of the support for grants and research and development is being conducted in that facility, And also, as I mentioned earlier, now we are actually producing new assemblies. So one of the packages that leaves here, we'll spend some time talking about in the next couple of slides. Is a box that looks kind of not so sexy outside, but what's in that is a container that allows us to package and ship a product that's been pretty widely recognized. So on the next slide here, we were able to get the launch of the Compass and Smart Pyramid product out. Now there's been between 300 and 400 of these that have been manufactured largely here, along with about 60 of these master control units. So the way this works, this is a lower extremity alignment system. And this part becomes resident on the lower extremity socket, the interface between the socket and the prosthetic limb. And packaged within this very, kind of inconspicuous little device is a very sophisticated group of electronics that measures all of the forces of the individual walks. So it measures the displacement laterally and all the different pressures. And then the individual can come back to their clinician, and this system then slides together, and it downloads information about the way that their gait might occur. And they can wear this while they're in the clinic, and you can look at alignment issues. So this has been really a game-changing activity for the prosthetic industry. There's never been a way to quantitatively compare one prosthesis alignment methods to another and to be able to make sure that you can repeat these methods over time based on not just the art, but also
It's not too fragile, is it? We've got some heavy-handed.
we hope not. So these are actual products that are being used by individuals every day now. So this is a pretty big step forward since I guess January of last year when my colleagues Doug came to you guys.
And you're the only ones that have this technology?
Yes, this is an absolutely unique capability within the field of prosthetics. There's no the typical way that one does gait alignment today would be to go to an instrumented gait lab where you'd have the individual walk with their prosthetic limb under a system of cameras in a very clinical environment, which is good from that perspective. But in this case, the individual can walk in the clinician's office at any facility across the country, and they can get quantitative measurements to compare to how that alignment is holding up based on their day-to-day use capability. So it's pretty significant, and it's been recognized not only in press coverage. Now, there's kind of two categories of press on your screens. One of them is recognition for the Compass and Smart Pyramid work, and I'll talk to you in a minute about some national awards we've received for that. But in addition, I've sort of been leading predominantly the upper extremity work, and one of the projects that I've led with my colleagues at Johns Hopkins University in a close partnership that we've had ongoing with Johns Hopkins University is development of the prosthetic limb system that you see on the cover of the National Geographic from January of this year. That is by far the most sophisticated upper extremity integrated prosthetic system that is in existence anywhere in the world, and OrthoCare is working as the commercial transition partner with Johns Hopkins University to begin to transition some of those technologies out to products that will be, again, manufactured and really commercialized with our resources here in the city. One first product, this is a prototype of something we call a multi-grasp hand, and when I talk a little bit about upcoming initiatives and new product launches, this is a product that we hope to have in beta testing by the end of this year, and then early next year be manufacturing just like we are the Smart Pyramid and the Compass system to really begin to address upper extremity dexterity at the extremity, and then building from that all the way back up through the full limb system. So on that category, again, the products that we've launched to date are the Compass Smart Pyramid, which you see passing around, and then we've also launched a new software-based system, which is a functional assessment system. It uses another one of our products, which is an instrumentation system called the Stepwatch to collect data on activity, and then that information about activity is used with some assessment software to determine the level of capability of an individual in their daily lives. So people can come into their prosthetist and say, oh, yes, I'm very active, and then basically the process has been constrained to using anecdotal information about how that person conducts their activities of daily living. Now is a way of actually instrumenting that and building that into a system that can be used by payer and provider networks to make decisions and to, in effect, evaluate the various clinical performance across the different areas and so forth. So we're very proud about that. That's being very well received. A large group of the Blue Cross Blue Shield family is looking at using that and deploying that and being looked at within the VA system and some of the military applications at Walter Reed and so forth. We're very, very excited about that. But anyways, there's a couple of different new technologies, the hand system that we're talking about here, and another device called the Edison vacuum attachment pump, which allows us to do vacuum attachment of sockets for lower extremity applications that we'll be launching also by the end of the year. So we're very, very excited. Those things continue to be on track and continue to pass our various testing gates that we're working through to make sure that they are reliable when they get out into the field. As far as jobs go, when the Dougs came to the panel here, there were 7 kind of full-time employees in Oklahoma City, the headquarters here. Since that time, there have been 13 new hires. That's about tripling of the number of employees, but I guess a 170% increase or so, depending on how you calculate it. One of the areas where there's been growth is manufacturing, by moving some of these products here and by turning out efforts. This does not include about 8 additional interns that we've hired in collaboration with local academic organizations. And it doesn't specifically cite, but there's a new individual we're very happy about, who's a general manager who's going to sort of oversee and run the activities here. Very strong experience in the prosthetics field and doing manufacturing and engineering to manufacturing kinds of applications. And he's moving from Seattle to live here and sort of anchor that level of leadership over manufacturing and production. And so he's starting on June 1st, and we're very happy about that. So as you can see, in terms of the range of wages, these are significant jobs. They're average of $56,000 a year, but range from entry-level positions to $115,000 or so. And so we think that we're creating good, solid jobs at a sustainable pace. And so some other metrics in terms of OrthoCare's recognition, and hopefully the recognition that we're bringing to the community, involves we were able to host a large symposium as part of the Limb Restoration Institute that was hosted here in November. And I think maybe some of you attended the function that was held at the Art Museum as part of that. But we had 70 more individuals, practicing researchers in the field of prosthetics and orthotics, come from all around the country, and even some of our partners in Canada and Europe attended. And so it was really a spotlight of some of the best in the field, beginning to produce a roadmap of where prosthetics technology needs to go over the next decade or so. So it was the symposium was called Prosthetics 2020, and it was really looking ahead and projecting where the technology would go and what are the needs, not just in technology, but in education and the kinds of infrastructure for training and outreach that need to go on, so that people will be prepared to use these kinds of new technologies that require, interaction between the prosthetist, the clinician, and the user in a way that's really unprecedented. So we're happy to be a part of that, and that's continuing to move forward through other phases of producing a report that will be a roadmap provided to the Department of Defense and the VA as a result of that. In addition to that, we've transitioned some of our key business support activities and vendors. Of course, the Bank of Oklahoma, as our operating bank, has moved from Maryland BB&T organization. A new organization here has picked up our activities for doing all of our audits and so forth. There was a group that manages all of our payroll and health benefits and so forth, and that has moved from admin staff now to Next Step, who's here in Norman, and has been a very positive change, I believe, in interacting with our employees and so forth. A lot of our packaging and so forth, this very nice box that I was showing you, the Compass is packed in as an example, just one of many areas of support we're getting from Oklahoma vendors that were being done in Washington State and in Canada and other places. And then there's a number of, just purchase of fixed infrastructure and support of day-to-day operations like travel that have now been consolidated here in the city, so, or in the state as a minimum. So. So I mentioned that the Smart Pyramid and the Compass system have been recognized significantly. So one area is that they were the recipient of an R&D magazine, R&D 100 award, which is a very prominent award within the engineering and technical societies. They also were recognized as a bronze level award winner of the Edison Awards for this year. If you look at who the number 1 and 2 slots were, these went to Johnson & Johnson and GE products. They're very, as you know, very established and very significant firms with very significant capabilities. So we're proud to have been one of the top 3 of 500-plus products and companies that were evaluated and to be able to bring that level of focus on our operations here. From a financial perspective, I'm Chief Science Officer, so I'm going to skirt this topic, but I do know a couple of key metrics. One of them is that we had our best quarter ever. That's hard to forget. And that was, we had over $1 million in revenue for the first quarter in 2010 versus about $600K, which was still, we thought, significant the same quarter last year. But continue, again, to map out that level of revenue against the strategic plan that was outlined. And the investment that the panel made really helped position us with the kinds of manufacturing capability and to make some of those investments that allowed us to reach out and secure some capital from an equity organization, Schooner Capital, which is a group that allows us to raise several $1 million to really facilitate the growth and launch of some of these new products to continue to build and hire key staff. They're a very stable investor that really understands why we're in Oklahoma City. They understand the support that we've gotten from the state and the community, and they invest in the long run. One of their initial investments was a company called Iron Mountain. I don't know if any of you know about Iron Mountain. It's a key document protection and archiving organization. There's a lot of work for the government. They have been investing in that organization as part of founders and then continue that investment from the 1970s. So they invest in very conservative, long-term partnerships, and we're happy that they were able to look at our business plan and look at the level of support we've gotten and agree that we're on the right track to be something that they would like to be involved in. So that's generally the update, and I'd be happy to take any questions that I can field.
Are there questions from the trustees?
How much capital did you raise?
$3 million initial, and they're basically we have regular meetings with them, and they're willing to invest other equity as necessary to make sure that we grow the organization at the pace that we.
And what kind of value did they put on the company?
They value our initial operations at about $12 million.
Great. Thank you.
Larry?
Is your financial information proprietary or is it public information?
It's not public information, but Doug McCormick and Mr. Wallace would be the ones to talk to about it.
Has anybody from staff looked at their P&L and balance sheet?
I have not received and I have not looked at their P&L statements for this last year.
Is that part of what we should be doing on an ongoing basis?
We can request to look at that, and I'd be happy to do that.
I think that would be helpful. Your revenue is very, very impressive. Your raising of capital is very, very impressive. Are you making money?
So I mean, just at a broad level, and I can't speak to the details, but basically we're at a break-even status with the kind of growth that we're doing. We're not. We're making money we're building the company, and we're doing that incrementally and successfully. We believe in a sustainable way, so we're not going out and hiring 20 people that we know we can't keep employed in a year from now. We're trying to grow that at a pace that we think meets our strategic projections at the level of growth that we hope to get to in 4 or 5 years or so. But so basically, the company has reinvested all of its revenue back into that growth, and then has brought in the additional support from Schooner and obviously from you guys to continue pushing in that direction. So but at a broad level, it's about a wash on an annual basis.
And one other question, we were looking at your item thing that you showed us up here. The machining on that was excellent. Is your machining done here in Oklahoma City or where?
The machining has not been. We have actually tried to locate someone who can do the titanium manufacturing here at the volumes. We have not been able to secure that. A lot of the steps in fabrication are done. For example, welding, painting, assembly, electronic assembly, so forth. Those are done here, but the actual titanium processing is still done out of state with another vendor.
David?
Just a comment. I appreciate the spirit in which you've taken on the obligation to leverage what our investment's been by seeking out vendors that are Oklahoma-based and having that cycle, which is what we're hoping for, not only with the jobs, but also with the spending that you do. So thank you for going beyond the letter of the agreement and taking on the spirit of it, too.
Well, we appreciate that. I mean, I think it's worked both ways. I mean, we've had a very successful relationship with our partners here, and so we're looking forward to keeping
Question?
In your role as CSO, what's your 10-year vision for the operations in Oklahoma City? What would you love for it to happen?
So I believe that OrthoCare has the potential of being, a game-changing organization in prosthetic orthotics more broadly than this first product. I believe that we have the potential over the next year to launch some of the more capable upper extremity prosthetic systems, to launch new kind of interactive technologies that really engage the user into their overall outcome, which I think has largely been placed on, a periodic interaction with a prosthetist and then, go off on and live your life. And I believe having the individual engage in that will lead to more positive outcomes and so forth. And I think OrthoCare is poised to be an industry leader, if not the industry leader, in the field of prosthetics. And that's my goal is to help it be that, and the anchor for that will be in Oklahoma City. I mean, I think, frankly, we'll continue to have some small operations, with our academic partners in other areas, but those allow us to bring technologies and transition those to the core engineering group here and to manufacturing here. So I think it's very synergistic to keep the sustainable growth that we've projected.
One final question. One final question, maybe not a final question, but an additional question, is were you able to find your new hires locally?
So several of the new hires have been from out of state. So, for example, our director of engineering came from California. He was a senior principal with Raytheon Defense Organization, and we were able to convince him that the quality of life here and also the opportunities to nurture a young, growing engineering team was worth the move. Also, the new general manager of manufacturing over the overall Oklahoma City operations coming from Seattle. Several of the other hires were from here and from very strong candidates that filled the role of chief financial officer and director of manufacturing and so forth. We have encountered an interesting dynamic over the last few months, and that is, as we've been sort of brought more into the spotlight as maybe not necessarily just a dream on paper, but building and doing what we said we were going to do and launching products and getting some national exposure. We've had people start to try to really reach out and aggressively recruit some of our team members here. And so we've had a couple of turnovers that we haven't had, and we, quite frankly, didn't expect. And so they went to really, really good opportunities that you can't fault them for, and we're very happy for them. But we're making sure that we continue to replace those individuals with people who can contribute to the vision and can continue to keep the pace of things going. And that's interesting. If you can put out a dictate on not to hire people away from your investments, please feel free to do that.
We could try that, but I'm afraid it wouldn't be very effective. David Gittins.
You may have partially answered the question I had, and that is, with that vision that you have, what do you think is your biggest challenge for meeting that kind of vision in Oklahoma City?
I think it's not necessarily meeting in Oklahoma City. I think the bigger issues are some of the large changes in the field with regard to payment and reimbursement strategies that will allow us to continue to build the numbers of our manufacturing and product delivery kinds of opportunities that allow us to keep investing and launching new products. And so, so far we haven't encountered any limitations at all of being, of having this as our key focus area. We think it's an area where we've gotten stronger support than most people would find as a new startup business in almost any area of the country, and good, strong resources to build from. So we're trying to work with the external variables and try to make sure that we hire the right kinds of advisors and get into the kinds of roles that can influence those in a positive way. And that's a bit beyond our ability to guarantee, but we're working hard on those areas.
Are there any additional comments or questions? Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
It was a great story, and good luck in the future.
Thank you so much.
Don't forget your advice.
All right.
All right. Moving on. on, the next item on the agenda, item 4B, the final plans and specifications for a Myriad Gardens renovation project. Does the staff have any comments on that particular item?
Just to bring you up to date a little bit, we've got the demolition, the earthwork that's going on is under construction. There's a lot of progress going on in Myriad Gardens. This project is with the architectural component, and it includes the renovation of the water stage, seating expansion, the McGee Center improvements, and restrooms in the ice pavilion, a children's area, and a cafe plaza. And so this is the next project. We'll also have another project going out with additional architectural features, a Phase 2 architectural that include the restaurant, the cafe, and the south entrance to the Myriad Gardens. And that will be coming forth in June.
Point out this project is $3.7 million, so it's just a substantial project in the Myriad Gardens area. Are there questions? The staff, I mean, we have foremost authority here, Laura's here. If we've got tough questions, we've got somebody to make them answered.
I feel so intimidated, I'll just move approval.
Okay, see, Laura, it works every time.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion made and seconded, and this will be a recommendation that the final plans and specifications be approved and the city clerk be authorized to advertise for bids. All those in favor, cast your votes, and the issue passes unanimously. Thank you. Item 4B, is the audit contract, and this is a contract with BKD, auditing firm that has been awarded the city's business this year, and it's been a practice for the various trusts to utilize the same accounting firm. It's simpler, and there's some benefit we get from having different viewpoints of the city operation. Are there any questions, comments on this particular item?
I think I know the answer, but BKD does have a local office too, right?
Yes, sir, they do.
Well, we're very fortunate today. Members of the city's audit committee made the selection, and Mr. Ryan and Mr. McAtee are both on the audit committee.
Yes, we are. Mm-hmm.
So
then we're in good hands.
I can highly recommend BKD. Any additional comments or questions? I move we approve it. Okay, thank you very much. We have a motion made and seconded to approve. Cast your votes, and the matter carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 4D is the proposed fiscal year 2010-2011 Oklahoma City Economic Development Trust budget, and I think we'll get some words of explanation and comments on this from Brent. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chairman. Today I wanted to present to you the proposed economic development budget for fiscal year 2010 and 2011. The budget is broken down into three different segments, but it's basically which relates to TIF, our GOLT funds, and then our just general operating funds. And I'll start with the smaller one, the general operating fund. That one would be, you could find that one on page 5 of the budget. It's a significant increase from this current fiscal year going into next year, and the reason it's a significant increase is this trust administers the contract with Oklahoma City Economic Development Foundation. That budget is actually funded through a transfer from the city's general fund, and we're reflecting that amount to be at $790,240 next year. That'll be transferred into our trust, and our trust will administer that contract. And that's the significant change there. If we'll just go backwards there, on page 4, that reflects the general obligation limited tax bonds. When you're creating this budget, you can either budget exactly what you think you're going to spend, or you can budget the gross amount. And we elected to budget the gross amount, and if you'll note there on page 4, we have a $32 million reserve for future projects. Working with the Chamber on projects, we have a lot of prospects out there where we could use those funds in the near future, but we elected to go ahead and put that in a reserve account. We anticipate spending out about $700,000 this next fiscal year in job creation payments to various companies. And we also anticipate transferring the $1.9 million roughly to the Oklahoma City Water Utilities Trust as they support the PACOM project, which is ongoing. That came back to this trust, was approved the last couple of months. On page 3, that reflects the budget for the Devon Tax Increment Financing District number 8. I wanted to just make note here, we're not budgeting any fund balance in that budget this year because we anticipate spending all the money. We're doing it. We're borrowing just as we need the funds, so we're not anticipating any carryover. We're trying to keep that balance down to a minimum, and if you can look at our general manager's report, you can tell that we are keeping it at a minimum. So, and finally, TIF number 2, which is on page 2. This is the downtown TIF district, which also includes the Skirvin sales tax TIF district also, and we anticipate rolling over $6.5 million in that account. Next month, we will receive actually our TIF revenues for this fiscal year. This next month, we anticipate a little over $5 million coming in the next fiscal year. And primarily, we have some projects that are outstanding. We anticipate spending about $3.5 million on those projects, and then another 3.3 roughly in debt service, and then the balance will be left for future projects. So overall, this budget totals around $93 million. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Are there questions?
I will tell you, we will bring this back to you on June 22nd for adoption. If you have any questions after today, just give me a call and we'll make the necessary adjustments.
Okay, so this is strictly an informational item. We have to take no actions today. We'll come back later on with a budget that we will be able to approve. And I encourage you, as you review it, if you have questions, to contact the staff for explanations, clarification. So, good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item 4E is a joint resolution transferring some money. And I want to call upon you again to explain why we're trying to do this.
Last Thursday, Oklahoma City received the proceeds from the 2010 general obligation limited tax bonds that were sold a couple of months ago. As our standard practice, if you'll recall, back when we received the $7 million in 2008, we transferred those funds over here to the trust. And this resolution just authorizes the city to transfer the funds to the trust, and the trust will administer them just as they are doing the $7 million that was transferred in 2008. And that's what this will do. This will go to the city council next week, or either next week or the next. It'll be on the agenda sometime in June, so I'll just take it.
Comments or questions on this particular issue? As Brent pointed out, this is something we've done previously, so we're not plowing any new grounds or doing anything different. The number's a little bigger this time than it was last year, but it's in accordance with what the practice has been in other city trusts as well. So, Chair would entertain a motion.
So moved.
A motion made and second. Please cast your votes. And the transfer resolution is adopted. That concludes all the items we have to have specific votes on. Item 5 is the General Manager's reports. Are there questions or comments on the report? Good. The next item is comments from the staff. No, sir. Any comments from the trustees? Comments from citizens? Not that you all aren't citizens, but in the broader sense. Any comments from the citizens? Hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.